first strategy we can talk about is called a covered call.
Yes.
All that means is you have 100 shares, because options are contracts in units of 100 shares. You must own or go out and buy 100 shares of the underlying. And then for each 100 shares you own or purchase, you then sell to open or short a specific call option designed to, again, the call option is the right to sell, sorry, the right to buy the underlying stock. So if I sell you, Ellen, the right to buy, and you decide to exercise that right, what do I have to do?
Right.
Right? Like if I've sold you the right to buy and you say, Jim, I am going to buy, then guess what? Jim's going to sell.
You have to. Yeah.
I don't have a choice. So covered call. You own your stock or you buy your stock.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You sell a call option, sell to open a call option against your shares. One call for every 100 shares you own or purchase. In the event the stock goes on a skyrocket, because you are short the call, you have the obligation to sell. You are going to sell those shares.
So the strike price that I pick, if I say Apple isn't going to make it above $145, and I'm rounding up higher than you did for no analytical reason whatsoever.
Oh.
And I say by July, and I sell those calls. So I get paid immediately. Somebody kind of pays me to take on that risk.
Yep.
Stop me if I'm incorrect in any place. And then Apple goes to $300 because Tim Cook clones himself, and the Zune is erased from history. And there's nothing but Apple everywhere we go. I still have to sell to whoever bought those calls, right? I got to sell at 145 regardless of.
Correct.
Okay.
Well, yes, I think some people have really keyed in on the fact that covered calls can be expensive, but I also think they're a very good starting point for options practitioners for another really good reason. At least I think it's a good reason. And that is options you've probably heard, you've probably been scared. Not you, because you've been hanging around.
I wasn't first, though.
Okay. Well, but you're not anymore. But other people would be, and certainly if you've read things by Peter Lynch or they might scare you. 90% of options expire worthless, and you don't want that. If I sold it, I do.
Will it make me money? Because then I want it.
Yeah, so that's an incomplete viewpoint, frankly. But there are other option strategies, okay? And they're great, as you know, there are a great many other option strategies. And one of the attractive points about options is their ability to leverage.
Yeah, that's one of the scariest things and one of the coolest things about them.
Well, it's cool if it's working in your favor.
Exactly, and it's terrifying if not.
There's nothing better than when options leverage works in your favor. Like, you've got a bullish position, leverage set up, stock goes to the moon. You're like, guess who's eating the steak sampler this week?
Hell yeah, I'm going to Cleveland.
I'm going to Cleveland for the steak flight. But if it's leveraged against you,
you can find yourself, and we would hear this sometimes from members in the service. You can find yourself deeply indebted, deeply obligated to things that you didn't expect.
Yeah, or to fix it, you'd be selling things you didn't want to sell. Like, can you imagine? I'll pick on him because I think he's still listening. If Jim Mueller, for example, had engaged in one of these, horrific, because he never would, but engaged in one of these horrific leverage style transactions, which went against him, and to make good, he had to sell his Netflix stock.
Oh,
Can
God,
you
yeah,
imagine?
With its cost basis of $8 or whatever.
So here's your big tax bill, Jim, and don't do that again.
God,
he would be brokenhearted.
No. Okay, well, we can't end there. Okay, we have 10 minutes, and we're not going to end with
covered calls.
Sad Jim.
Well, no, but here's the good news. With covered calls, it is quite literally impossible to blow yourselves up by leverage.
This is true. This is another reason that we're recommending them for beginners such as myself. You can lose the shares, and ideally, you only wrote the calls on shares that you would be happy to let go of at that price.
At that price. You need to repeat that, fools. You got the live stream. Go back 15 seconds and listen to what Ellen just said.
Oh God, let me try to say it again, but eloquently. You should only write covered calls on a stock that you are willing to sell at the strike price. You'd be perfectly happy to see it go. If you love it too much and you would want to hang on to it, then don't write the calls, because it's only all you can lose is your shares, which is wonderful. But if you love your shares, you don't want to lose them. So make sure you pick a company that's, for all that Jim and I disagree a little bit about Apple, for all that I love this example, I might not write covered calls on Apple. I might move to something else in my portfolio that I have enough, that I can use 100 shares of, because I don't necessarily know that I would be willing to let go of it. So that's one of the emotional things in options investing, is that for your darlings, you don't want to risk them.